What a great day. What a great weekend. NHL, NBA, WNBA, actually. Appointment setting. And what is it now? 69 days until July 27th, the first day of Eagle training camp. 73 days until Chargers-Lions Hall of Fame game, Canton, Ohio. 108 days until the banner falls at Lincoln Financial with the Dallas Cowboys in the building. And I love this, a brand new contract extension for yours truly, even though nobody knows what it is. And most teams release, the particulars of a contract. So wait a minute here. I want to release this to you here. And I want to read you this statement from the Philadelphia Eagles. This is classic. As an organization, we have always strived to create a championship culture of sustained success. Basically patting himself on the back for years and years of success without Sirianni. Nothing is more important to fostering such an environment than having tremendous leadership. Nick has embodied everything we were looking for in a head coach since we hired him 4 years ago. His authentic style of leadership, football intelligence. Oh my God. Passion for the game. I'll give him that. And growth mindset. What? Have helped to bring out the best in our team. I'm excited for what the future holds for the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagle Chairman and CEO Jeffrey Lurie. What's the deal? Dude, nobody ever said that he wasn't going to get extended. Nobody said he wasn't going to be. Everyone assumed it. Nope, this is what? He's telling us shit we know already. What's the breaking news? You signed a guy to a contract extension? Well, shit, he earned that at least. I know that. And I'm in with that. How much? How long? I mean, he's telling us shit we know already. By the way, Kyle, I think you have a super chat we got to get to right off the top if we can, Xander. Okay? Thank you very much, Devin. That is really cool of you. I appreciate it. We did a 2-hour show in Tampa today. Yes. On 820. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Devin. That's really cool. Yeah. Hey, by the way, we knew this already. He's going to get a contract extension. How much? How long? That was the story. You're not going to make – hey, by the way, that guy is not – now I know what they're doing. They're not giving him the most money of any coach in the NFL, which would mean he'd be the highest paid coach in North American history. That ain't happening. That's not happening. Or they would have said it. Dude, if I'm going to make a guy the highest paid coach, I'm going to stand on the highest mountain that I can, and I'm going to toot my own horn and go, hey, I gave that guy more money than any coach in the history of North America. Instead, hey, look, read it again. This is really classic. As an organization, this is patting yourself on the back. You're telling me nothing here. What are you telling me? As an organization, we have always strived to create a championship culture and sustain success. Okay, we know this. Nothing is more important than an environment than having a tremendous leader. Okay, this is glazing stuff. Nick has embodied everything we're looking for in a yes man. Okay, we hired him 4 years ago. His authentic style of leadership. That's why you got Big Dom on the sideline, right? Okay, he's the only coach I've ever seen with a bouncer. His football intelligence, that was under display first 4 games of the year. Passion for the game, I'll give him that. He told me nothing. The press release was stupid. Shit, we already knew this. How much we paying for Uncle Junior? Hey, that's my point. Eagles don't want to make other head coaches jealous. Yeah, right. Okay, tell yourself that, Junior. How much are you paying him? How many years is it? How about this? Say you don't even, from this day forward, Texas boy is Diddy boy. There you go. Way to start it out. Hit the like button. What a stupid press release. Hey, we really love our guy. We're really going to extend him. He's our coach moving forward for how long? 2 years? 3 years? Hey, just say you don't want to give the money out. How long are you extending him? Ever? Is it a Supreme Court seating? Oh, the Eagles are the only team that don't release. Shit, when Andy Reid, let me double check Pro Football Talk. Now I got Derrick Henry's extension, got inside his contract. Nothing on Nick. Kellen Moore, Derrick Henry, I'm very thankful for the extension. Nick Sirianni earns a multi-year extension. No numbers, no nothing. Okay. Hell, when Andy Reid was the highest paid coach, Kansas City made it very evident. And by the way, I have not changed my opinion on the guy. I don't think he's very good. I think he's a product of the environment. And I'll say it again. You guys can glaze over him all you want. And you can try to sell me everything you want on him. Sorry, I'm not sold. I know a good head coach because I played for a Hall of Fame coach. He ain't it. He ain't it. That's not a Hall of Fame coach. I've been around Tom Landry. I've been around Jimmy Johnson. That's not a Hall of Fame coach. Okay? That's not. What about his winning? I think he's a product of the environment. I'll say it again. He's a product of his assistant coaches. If they don't hire good assistants, he fails. If they hire great assistants, he succeeds. And the Eagles have been great at it. If you read that press release again, it's more about Jeffrey Lurie glazing over how the Eagles have hired than it is about the extension, because there's nothing really about the extension. And Nick's a great guy. He's done a really good job here. We like his leadership. Okay, we knew this already. We already knew this. What in that press release didn't you not know? Help me out here. You know, I see the guys at WIP they're glazing over this stuff. What are you glazing over? Everyone knew a guy coming off a Super Bowl was going to get an extension. Why is it so you can't? Okay, say you don't want to give the money out. You can't say 3 years? 4? What? Extended how? Is he the highest paid guy? I don't believe that. Okay? Wrong about what? Wrong about what? My interpretation of a press release that told you nothing? Wrong about what? Nobody said he wasn't going to get extended, doofus. Again, wrong about what? What are you talking about? Wrong about, dude, Lenny, everyone knew he was going to get extended. I'm not complaining. I'm asking, bro, if you think going, how many years is it? How much you paying him? It's something that is going to rub your ass the wrong way, then you know already they're not paying him. And I'll tell you flat out, you know why that's important? Because we're going to find out how important the organization sees him. If they think that guy is the highest paid guy in pro football, they're going to pay him and reward him that. If they think that record is exactly like you guys are saying, he's the highest paid coach. I say he's not. I say he's not. Okay. What's the fucking deal? Simple. What's the deal? Nobody's saying he was. Bro, this is stupid. You guys can't take a question that I'm asking. Personally, I am not deviating off it. I don't think he's a great coach. I just don't. I think they're a product. Once again, the most important people that were in the building last year were Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, and also with Stoutland. It wasn't the head guy. He was a bum last year. No, not next topic. I'll run it. You sit back and fan and take your Eagle banners and fan away, guy. It's a 2-year deal? A 2-year deal for a guy who's taken you to the Super Bowl twice in 3 years. Fake news. Fake news. What's the contract? Hey, get this. This is why your market has become soft, Philadelphia. Because if you can't ask that question and not get your panties in a bind, you ain't the same Philadelphia. Because guess what? You getting paid tells you where you are in the landscape of how people think of you. You guys are used to coaches patting you on the head, telling you how great you are. Salaries speak, dog. That coach talk don't work. Okay? That coach talk don't work. Jealous of what? Are you talking about, Sue? Jealous of what? All I'm asking, how long, how much? Jealous of what? I'm not jealous of another man's money, Sue. Money don't make the man. Character does. Try that one out for size. Just because you have more money than another man or you make more money than another man, don't make you a better person. Money doesn't define character. It must to you. It doesn't to me. Damn. Now I learn all I need to know about Sue. She thinks jealousy is based off of dollar signs. Me, it's character. Sills, this show represents what WIP used to be when I was young in the early 2000s. Yeah, because you know why, Kyle? It's just asking simple questions. They can't do it anymore because the ramifications. And if a guy and a host makes a point, okay, they get their panties in a bind. I'm not asking anything, and I'm not really saying anything except for this. I don't think he's a good coach. Get this. Listen to this guy. Since it doesn't matter how much you make, Sills. What? Wait a minute. Let me ask you something here. If you had a guy in the building and he was making more money than you, but he was more important than you, would you have a cow with that? Nick Sirianni's resume, the guy in Jacksonville just got $16 million annually. It does matter. And by the way, I don't know what you're talking about, Twiz. Once again, Sirianni brought in Steichen, and he did not. He did not. Bro, Frank Reich recommended those guys to Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman because he recommended Nick Sirianni. He did not bring those guys in. Don't you remember the first Super Bowl press conference when he said at Super Bowl week, I had to introduce myself to 80% of the coaching staff because I didn't know them. Bro, again, stop making my question about me. How much? How long? You don't think that's relevant? How do you not think that's relevant? Bro, how do you not think that's relevant? It's how the Eagles see him nationally and in the league. This is, when A.J. Brown saw Ahmad St. Brown get more money than him, he made us think about it. players are gauged by the next guy. Same as coaches. Dude, Nick Sirianni, in my opinion, I'm not impressed with him. How many Hall of Fame coaches you been around? I'm not impressed. He does not impress me. That man does not impress me. Seals, the Knicks signing on the heels of the Niners' huge mistake. Purdy, I don't think it's a mistake. Why is Brock Purdy a mistake when he's delivered everything and overachieved? How is Brock Purdy a mistake? I heard Jeff Kerr say that. What has that guy done in his career that makes you say that he was a mistake for him to sign that? Name me one thing he hasn't delivered on. He's delivered more than Dak. How about this? Name me one thing Trevor Lawrence has done more than Brock Purdy. They came in the league the same year. Name me one thing he's done more. Or Kyler Murray. Okay? Name me one thing. Seals, the Knicks signing on the... I heard the deal was 5 years, but the money is being finalized. It's $265. I already talked to John Lynch. Dude, having a meltdown? Bro, you're such a ridiculous human being. Meltdown? Far from it. Far from it. It's a hey, guess what? Now I know what's going on in Philly. Your media sucks. Can't ask a question without you getting your panties in a bind because you're the ones melting down. How long and how much? How long and how much? Nobody can ask that? Wow. Bro, everyone in that league, it's called professional sports. Everyone is gauged on what the next guy makes. Okay? Everyone. A mistake is trading away Pickens when you have no quarterback. I don't, and trading for DK Metcalf. That I don't get. Okay? Get this, see this guy crying about what? How much is I'll do it better for this guy so it feels better for him. He's used to it. Hey, well, how long are they extending him for? And how much are they paying him? Are they making him the highest paid coach in North American sports? Is that better? Some of you can't take it now because you've been so wussy-eyed. I'm just curious. How long? How much? Fifth highest win percentage, so what? George Seifert had a higher win percentage and won more Super Bowls, and they fired his ass because he was a product of the Niners. Your boy's George Seifert to me. And by the way, to Brandon's take, that means he thinks that Sirianni's a better coach than Bill Parcells. Here, let's do this. According to Brandon, highest percentage winning NFL head coaches all time. Let's take a look at this. And this is who Brandon thinks is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. Or Nick is a better coach than. Let's see here. Let's go win percentage. So Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Don Shula, Tony Dungy, Bill Belichick. You think Tony Dungy's a better coach than Bill Belichick because he has a higher win percentage? How many Super Bowls did the Niners win after George Seifert left? None. Because they changed ownership, Crowley. But then again, you wouldn't know that. Hey, Xander, I missed Pump. If you could, yeah, there we go. Sills versus J-Mac in a Punjab match. P.S. Daryl Morey, please draft my ace of hearts, a.k.a. dude named Arias. I like that too. Brian, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. All supers go to the top. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let me see here. So, according to what's his name, Brandon, this is who he thinks Nick Sirianni's a better coach than. Don Shula, George Halas, Paul Brown, Tony Dungy, Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Bill Cowher, Joe Gibbs, Bill Walsh. Who else? Bill Parcells, Chuck Noll, Mike Ditka. You think Nick's better than them coaches because he got a higher win percentage. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. He's a better coach than Chuck Noll. Yeah. Holy cow. Hey, he's a better coach than Shula. He's a better coach than Shula, Noll. Who else? And Belichick. Let's see. Because he has the higher, Brandon says, because he has a higher win percentage. So that's 2 Super Bowls, 4, and 6. So 12 Super Bowls. You guys think Nick Sirianni's better coach than Shula, Noll, and Belichick. Is that right? He's being sarcastic? Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. Seals, if you hammer Jalen Hurts for being overpaid, I didn't say Jalen was overpaid. You've never heard me say Hurts is overpaid. I've never said that. I've never said he's overpaid. I mean, $60 million he's overpaid. Like making him the highest paid guy, he's overpaid. Both quarterbacks need a great supporting cast to succeed. Purdy's advantage was his contract, but now he's paid more. I said that I don't believe, I know what I said. I don't believe that you're getting the max out of what Jalen Hurts signed for, because if you're talking about 29.03 and 18 touchdowns, you want a little more out of that because you're not getting your return on investment. You need more out of the passing game out of that guy, is what I said. Yes, that's exactly what I said. Hey, Spike, that's what I just said. Dude, I do not have to. We're not turning this back on me. This got nothing to do with me. How much? How long? How much? How long? Can't answer it. This is classic. Look at this stupid press release. This is the stupidest press release. Okay? This is the stupidest press release of all time. I mean, it tells you nothing. I think guys are commenting on it on WIP, and they're glazing over things they don't even know. Is he the highest paid guy? Is he not? Is he the 10th highest paid guy? Your quarterback's 11th now in most money for quarterbacks. As an organization, we have always strived to create a championship culture. That's glazing themselves. Nothing is more important in fostering such an environment than having tremendous leadership. Is he talking about himself? He just got through glazing over sustained success. That's about him. Nick has embodied everything we're looking for in a head coach. I bet. Since we hired him 4 years ago, his authentic style of coaching. That's why you got to put a babysitter on the sidelines for him? This is a joke release. I have no respect for it. I have no respect for that press release because it said shit. It said nothing. We knew this. So they told us they were going to extend him. Okay, great. Thanks. Did you make him the highest paid coach? You should. Hey, here, well, let me do this. According to you, he should be the highest paid coach. Why wouldn't you want to toot your horn over that? 14 quarterbacks make more than Mahomes. Raise incoming. Got to remember something, though. He has the highest payout. And remember, he signed a $450 million 10-year contract. And the majority of that money's guaranteed. Nobody has signed for anything over $300 million. Mahomes has $450 that's coming to him. There's a $500 million coming to him. Get this. This guy here says this is whining. Okay, they signed Nick Sirianni to a contract. How much and how long? That's whining? That's fucking whining. How is that whining? How much and how long? Bro, do you even know what whining is? It's a question. How much and how long? Dude, every stupid comment is going to get that response. How much? How long? And if you can't answer that, you know why I want to know that? I want to know what they think of him. It's not so much that they extended him. Okay? It's not so much that they extended him. How much? How long tells me what they think of him. Why does it matter? Because it tells you what they think of him. That's why. So hey, Dallas Goedert got a pay cut. You knew what they thought of him. They didn't think highly of him. So they gave him a pay cut. I want to know if they're looking at Nick Sirianni in the same way or better. You looked at Dallas Goedert, and he was the only player on your Super Bowl championship team you didn't think a lot of when it came to paying him. And the guys you didn't want got paid raises. Everyone did except Goddard. I want to know if you're taking a shit on Nick too. Or did you give him a raise? Did you? Or no? How in the world did Dallas Goedert get a raise? Get this. Who cares? Once again, you're missing the point. Don't you want to know if your guy and they look at him and they reward that record? Because you know why? If they don't make him the highest paid coach, all that bullshit that you put out to me about his winning and going to Super Bowls, they didn't look at it that way. That's why. Yeah, you know what you're going to get? 99.9% of the people that will be in Philly, my network, and everywhere else that covers that team will be glazing the extension, even though they don't know what it is. How can you have a comment on it or know what it is when you don't even know what the particulars are? How can you comment on something you don't know what you're looking at? That's not the number. That's not the number. Here. Sirianni signs a multi-year contract. No details anywhere. Nothing. How long? Are you committed to him for 5 years? 7 years? Yeah, you wish. 2 years, $18 million? That's a lie. Fake news. You can't even tell you how long? You can't even tell somebody how long the deal is. Okay, let's go more into this. What's the biggest asset? And don't tell me players play for him. It's a stupid, made-up media comment. Players play for themselves. They're constantly on tape, and they're constantly auditioning for their next job. It's the dumbest thing on the planet. Do you work for your boss? When you walk into your place of business, do you work for your boss or do you work for you, putting out a product that you're proud of? Or do you put the product out so that your boss could be proud of it? I put a product out because I have a standard that I set. I don't give a shit about his standard. I care about my standard. And my standard all for 35 years has been something that I set. And I don't do that for someone else. I do that for me. Can you say what the hell? Just say what he got paid. Oh, how many years? Dude, if you don't want to even tell me, how long are you committed to him? Did you give him a 5-year contract? Horrible take. This guy here thinks you're talking to kids that play at the schoolyard. They're professional football players. They don't fucking play for people and coaches and shit like that. Now, look, it helps. They like the coach. You play for every Tuesday's direct deposits. If I'm making $25, $35, $40 million a year, I'm playing for a standard that I set. Playing for a guy in the locker room is asinine. It's pro sports. Like you going to work, you have a standard you set. Stupid take. My God almighty. You think somebody walks into a building that's a pro athlete that sits there? What happened at 23 to that standard? Those guys laid an egg. That wasn't Nick Sirianni's fault in 23. Those players quit playing. They didn't want to play. They didn't like the environment. Had nothing to do with Nick. Those players stopped playing. 2023's meltdown had everything to do with the players quitting. Had nothing to do with the coaching. The changing of the coaches was bullshit. And that upset the apple cart. Sitting here telling me, hey, by the way, look at this guy. What's that got to do with me asking how many years and how much? How many years and how much? This guy calls me a dickhead here. How many years and how much? What are you talking about, guy? I'm not even sure what you're talking to me about. I'm really not. I don't know what you're talking about. How much and how many years? And that guy turns around and calls me a dickhead because I asked that question. That's what we do here, jackass. Okay? Yes, absolutely they do. When Sean Payton signed that contract with Denver, it came out that he was making $18.5 million, and the Saints had to get a first-round draft choice for compensation because he was still under contract. When Andy Reid signed the richest contract in pro football, here, let's take a look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid signs highest paid coaching. Let's see here. Andy Reid, new contract. New contract extension. Highest paid. Let's just look at, I don't even know. Here. Blockbuster deal. 2024, April 23rd, Andy Reid. Kansas City Chiefs have reached a contract extension that will make the 3-time out of the Kansas City newspaper, 3-time Super Bowl winner, the highest paid coach in U.S. sports history. Chiefs owner Clark Hunt vowed to make Andy the highest paid coach, with the previous mark being at $90 million, 5 years. Denver Broncos Sean Payton. Reid's new deal is expected to be worth in the neighborhood of $104 million if he concludes the 5 years. The contract will run through 2029. Here are the contracts that were put out publicly with the details. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Sean McVay, and Mike Tomlin were all disclosed on how much they make and also guarantees. Instead, you get this bullshit type of press release from your Eagle team telling you that we like Nick. That's all that thing told me. Great. How long and how much? Okay. No, I'm asking you a question. Here, Sills are trying to insinuate that Nick Sirianni brings nothing to the table. Okay, what's he bring? Players love him. Players love getting paid on the highest paid payroll in football. The Eagles have the highest paid payroll. They have to in all of football, especially on that offensive side. If you're an offensive player, you get paid handsomely. Dude, get this. How much and how long is jealousy? Okay. I guess. Nick is the greatest coach in Eagle history. So if you were building a football team from scratch with no GM and no owner you didn't know, Nick Sirianni's the coach you would hire instead of Bill Belichick or Chuck Noll or Don Shula. He'd be the one. Wow. Are you fucking ridiculous? Why is it so damn important when it's really none of our... Philly, I do a show where when coaches and players get signed to extensions, those are how the league and teams see you and the media sees you. It's not based on it's based on your pay. If you're the highest paid guy, like Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, people know that. Get this. Here, I'll do it again. Where is it? How much and how long? Every time I see that, how much and how long are you extending him? Okay? How much, how long? How long are you committed to him? And how much? Why can't they tell us? Everyone else does. Get this. It doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Of course it matters. Because it lets me know what the Eagles think of him. If they think he's so important, they'll make him the highest paid. Again, wrong about what? I never said he wasn't going to be extended. Wrong about what, Philly? What are you right about? What are you right about that I'm wrong about? Everyone knows who's going to get extended. What are you right about and I'm wrong? How much per year? That hasn't been listed. That hasn't been published. I don't even know how long it is. So, Mr. International, I'm not wrong on anything. I'm curious. What am I wrong on? Okay? If you knew, you would still be. No. Oh, well, I don't think I'm going to stick to my guns. I don't like that coach. Okay? Do you think players care what the head coach? That's not what I'm talking about here. I don't give a shit what the players think what he makes. You're always wrong about the Eagles, you bum. What am I wrong about? How long and how much? Wrong about what? Wrong about what? Nobody on the planet after winning the Super Bowl didn't think that guy was going to get extended. Wrong about what? Tell you what I am right about. They're not going to let those numbers loose. They will not let those numbers loose because he's not the highest paid coach, or they would have. They would have. That's an organization that likes to kiss their own ass. And they would have. Thank you, senor, as always. Okay? Get this. Hold on. I agree with you there, Sills. Thanks, Jason. So what I don't know what you're talking about there, kid. Let's see here. Sills is lying. Get this. Oh, I got you. James, thank you. James, how much and how long? Look at how everybody's having a cow. Because you know why? Once again, they just don't want to say it. Seals, what's your thoughts on Joe Douglas returning to the Eagles? I think it's a great hire. He's a really good talent evaluator, and I thought he did a nice job in New York with the Jets. I think the owner got in the way of the quarterback decision. Okay? How could you be the best organization in football when in the last 25 years, the Patriots have 6 titles since he's owned the team? You think Jeffrey Lurie has the best organization since he's owned the team? I don't know. You got just as many Super Bowls in the last 4 years as or less than the Chiefs. How can you be better than the Chiefs when the Chiefs have more Super Bowls in the last 5-6 years? How's that possible? How are you better than them? I thought winning matters too. I mean, do I think the Eagles are in the top 3? Absolutely. Absolutely. What mistake? How long? How much? How long? How much? I'm asking you to be accountable. How long? How much are you extending him? Simple. Answer it. And do me a favor, too. Rolla, tell me what his biggest asset is that he brings. It's how much and how long is all that matters. Hold on. It is all that matters with coaches. Highest paid coaches in the NFL fly. Those are the ones that people think that are the most important to their organizations. That's why it's important. It'll tell me how much the Eagles think of him. Is he the most important person in the building? Let me ask you something here. If they pay him more than Howie, do you believe that Nick Sirianni is more important than Howie Roseman? His deal's up next. Let me ask you this. They'll never pay that. Never in a million years. Not paying him $20 million. Do you think he should be paid more than Howie? And they'll never pay Howie 20. They'll pay Howie 10. General managers don't make a lot compared to coaches. Do you believe that Howie, so according to you, let me ask you this. You think Andy Reid's the most important person in that Kansas City building? I do. Do you think that Sean Payton is the most important person in that Denver building? I do. Who's the most important person between Nick and Howie in that Eagle organization? Just curious. What would you say? Who's more important, Howie or Nick, in keeping the sustained success that Jeffrey talks about? Okay? Howie. Do you think they're going to pay Howie Roseman $20 million? Bro, he makes 6 now. They're not going to pay him $20 million. Highest paid general manager, I believe, is Caserio down in Houston at 8. So wait a minute. The general manager is more important than the head coach? Name me a place in football that the general manager is more important than the head coach. Name me another place in the NFL. Seals, I was agreeing with you. Fly, thank you, brother. My bad. Name me a place where the GM is more important than the head coach. Brett Veach is not more. Brett Veach was brought to Kansas City by Andy Reid. The Lions, Brett Holmes is not paid more than what Dan Campbell is. San Francisco, you think John Lynch is more important than Kyle Shanahan? Not happening. John Lynch ain't making $17 million. Kyle Shanahan is. You think that Eric DeCosta is making more than John Harbaugh? You're high. John Harbaugh makes $17 million. That's not true. Jerry Jones. Okay. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys. That's right. You guys are making things up here. There's no GM in the NFL that makes more money than the head coaches. Nobody is more important than your coach. Les Snead, Kevin Demoff. What did they do before Sean Payton showed up? I must have missed that. They weren't the general managers. Charlie Army and those guys were in St. Louis. What did those guys do before they got a hold of Sean McVay? Sean McVay makes $18 million. I mean, if you're going to come here with something, make sure you come here with some statistics of facts, or some of these coaches that are considered not replaceable in organizations. Dude, Sirianni's going to continue to win games no matter if it's him, or the Eagles are going to continue to win game no matter if it's him, Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, or if it's Doug Peterson. They're going to continue to win. They're going to continue to win. The Bills. So you think that Bean in Buffalo makes more money than McVay or McDermott? You're making shit up. You're just making shit up. Where's Howie's? Now, that contract doesn't have to be put out there. And I'll tell you what, if you look at most general manager contracts in the NFL, that's a hard thing to find because they don't really throw that out there. But reports were that he was making $6 million, a little less than the guy in Houston. That's how they got Caserio away. Remember something. You think Nick Caserio, let me ask you this. How many people in here think that Howie Roseman's a better GM than the guy in Houston? Let me take a look at something. I want to double check and I want to be factual here. I want to be factual, so I don't want to make sure. Let's see here. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, he's a 6-time Super Bowl general manager. How can the world, can Howie Roseman be a better general manager than a guy who won 6 Super Bowls? He's got 6 Super Bowls on his resume as the GM of the Patriots. Howie's got 2. Last I checked, 6 beats 2. I mean, right? And here, get this. He was the director of pro personnel from 04. Then he was the director of all personnel from 08 on. And he was now he's the general manager of the Texans. He's general manager and president. This guy has 6 Super Bowls. 3. My bad. You're right. Does Howie trust Nick as much as he trusts his position coaches? The contract will tell us. Chris, there you go. There you go. That's my take, Chris. How much do you think of him? Is how much you'll pay him and how long you'll pay him. That's right. Chris, now you're thinking. Remember something. Hey, dude, if your boss loves you, They'll sign you to a five-year contract, make you the highest paid guy if they think that you have brought so much to the table that you're not replaceable. That's right. Dude, paychecks tell you how important you are to a franchise, whether you're a coach or a player. And when I didn't realize asking a simple question would result in such a hostile answer by you. That's all we do here. Wow. Sirianni and Hurts. You ask one question, you guys get your panties in a bind. Sills, the money are important, but the years will tell us more. That's right. The commitment will also, like Bob, if they gave him this $16 million over 5 per, I would think that's a huge commitment. If they gave him 20 over 2, like 2020, that's not a big commitment. It's a lot of money. It's kind of like, I half like you. But if I agree, Bob, if they go like this, Bob, 16 and a half, okay, and they go 5 years, I would say this. And that's a pretty good contract for Nick, especially in an organization that has a lot of turnover in position coaches. Okay? If the contract is tied to Jalen Hurts, AJ, and Smitty, it will say a lot. He's viewed he's viewed as disposable player. Let me show you something too, Bob. Let's take a look at this on an organization that has massive turnover. You ready? Okay. Let's do the offense. And then let's do the defense. And you tell me how the organization sees coaches. Okay? All right. So the first coordinator that Jalen Hurts had was Doug Peterson. Fired him. Then it was Sirianni. Demoted him and gave it to Shane Steichen. Then it was Shane. Right? Then, this is since Hurts has been in the building. Then it went to Johnson. Brian Johnson. Then it went to Kellen. Now it's gone into the hands of Kevin Petula. So just on offense alone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coordinators, not counting position coaches. 6 coordinators since 2020 when Hurts was drafted. That's 6 coordinators. On defense, okay, Schwartz is gone. Gannon gone. Desai, Patricia. And now you have Vic. So since 2000, you have changed out 2 head coaches. You got 2 head coaches, Nick and Doug, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 coordinators on both offense and defense. You think that's a big turnover on a team that's won so much since 2000? You think 11 coordinators and 2 head coaches in 5 years, you think that's a lot? How do you think they look at coaches? Do you think they look at them in a high note? Or do you think they look at them as interchangeable? I just said during the Hurts era, Scott. Hey, Bob, let me ask you this, Bob. Think about that. Since Jalen Hurts was drafted, Doug Peterson, Sirianni, then he was demoted after 2 and 4, Shane, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, and now Kevin Petula. Defense, Schwartz, Gannon, Desai, Patricia, and now Vic. That's 11 coordinators, not counting linebacker coaches, not counting D-line coaches. In the last 2 years, you've replaced your D-line coach twice. Your linebacker coach, 3 times. Your secondary coach, 3 times. I mean, do you find that to be how Philadelphia looks at coaches? I'm curious. By the way, not an opinion. This is your actions. Well, Shane Steichen got, let's see here. Shane got a job. Brian Johnson was fired. Kellen got a job. And Petula got elevated. Schwartz retired. Now he's in Cleveland. Gannon's a head coach. Patricia and Desai were fired. And Vic. So since 2000, you've had probably 20 coaching changes, either position coaching or coordinators. And you're asking me, why is it important how many years and how much? I'm telling you, I want to know what they think of them, because their track record shows you they don't think very highly of coaches. Nobody's in that building a long time. Sills, that amount of turnover only makes sense if you have 3 to 4 Super Bowls. Bob, do you now get where I'm going with this? Nobody ever said Nick wasn't going to get an extension. I want to know what they think of him, because they really don't think a lot of not just interchangeably pulling a guy and putting someone else in. You won 11 games. You had 8th-ranked passing offense or 8th-ranked offense, and you fired Brian Johnson. Okay. It resulted in a Super Bowl the way they ran the ball a year ago. No problem. My question would be, what's the commitment? I just think it's a fair question. How long are you committed? Get this. This guy just said this. How committed are you to him, and how much you paying him is making it more difficult? How is that making that more difficult with a simple question? Maybe that's hard for you to follow. I just want to know how long. Dude, like I said, if you get this, who cares? Well, do you want your coach around a long time or no? Or is it 3 years? Sure. Well, according to M. Reyes, then, you pay him $20 million. Okay? M. Reyes, if they don't see M. Reyes here, he'll be wrong if they didn't pay him the highest paid coach. Okay? According to M. Reyes, he will be the highest paid coach when the numbers come out. Okay? I don't believe that. Okay? I personally do not believe that. Okay? We may not get Gary Cobb today. He's in Mike Quick's golf tournament. Okay? Let's see what Brandon says here. I don't want my head coach to turn into Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's going to Canton. You always got to keep people earning their spot. Can't guarantee too much to Nick. You know what, Brandon, that's a pretty decent take, because I will agree with you on this. Mike Tomlin has not won a playoff game in 10 years. And that has to get better, or you're right. Especially a place like Pittsburgh. I'm going to agree with you, Brandon. Mike Tomlin, the standard can't be, well, he hasn't had a lose. Hey, Brandon, to your point, you can't have a coach like Mike Tomlin and have the benchmark and the standard be, well, I don't want him to have a losing season. Losing season in 17 years? That's not a standard. Okay? That's barely that's punching your time card. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in 10 years, my friend. You could take Sean thinks it's 5 years. It's 10 years. Seals, the money don't matter to me because it's not against the cap. Yeah, but I want to know what they think of him. The years tell me what Howie and Jeff think about long-term stability of the team. In the NFL, long-term is more than 4. Forrest goes like this. Forrest, if you gave Nick 3 to 4 years at 17 to 19 million, that's a great contract. That's a great deal. Okay? Because you know why? I don't believe that he's a better coach than Andy Reid. Hey, they just gave Brock Purdy $53 million. For some reason, in my opinion, the 49ers, that contract's going to look stupid. You guys are bitching about a $53 million contract with Brock Purdy. That contract's going to be outdated in 4 years, 3 years at best. Okay? Okay, well, then pay him the most. According to you, Hurts and Sirianni? Sirianni had nothing to do with the play calling. Man, that's a stupid take. I signed him through 2025 when the team's going to be looking into rebuilding around all the cap hits coming at the time. Brandon, these are good takes by you, man. Okay? Our window right now is through 28. I think your window's 26 because you got to start deciding what to do with AJ. Okay? I think because you've got to start deciding what is going to talk about with AJ. Probably after this year going into the offseason here. Okay? What's stupid is you're doubting of Nick. Dude, what is Nick's biggest asset? You tell me. They had a chance to fire him a year ago. And they almost did. Instead, they're talking about his intelligence. What, screaming at the fans? Having to put Big Dom on the sidelines? So you think he fixed that in 6 weeks or 6 months? Yeah, break guy. Talk about lame ass. Talk about lame ass cover. You can look for it anywhere here. Hating? Question asking is not hating. Okay? Sirianni and Hurts have their best for the playoffs. Sirianni. I think they really keep under wraps what they are doing behind closed doors. Super Bowl, NFC Championship prove that Sirianni's elite. Man, you guys think this guy's a better coach than Chuck Noll because he has a higher win percentage. I showed you a guy that had a higher win percentage and won more Super Bowls and won more. He's 10-5 in the postseason. Don't be a creature of the fact that he's a product of the environment. Nick created nothing of that environment. Nothing. That environment was put in place and has been in place. The owner told you in his press release. Sustained success here is exactly what we're looking for. Read the press release. It was more about them than it was about what they were committed to the coach. Get this. Here, I want to show you something here. Let me show you this. Let's go Eagles here. And let's do their press release. One more time. You show me anywhere in here where they're committed to him. Anything outside saying, we signed him for X amount of years. Whatever that's 2, 3, 4, whatever. As an organization that he built, Jeffrey Lurie, we have always strived to create championship cultures or sustain success. Nothing is more important in such an environment than having tremendous leadership. You mean the ability to hire people, That's all glazing themselves. Nick has embodied everything we are looking for in a head coach. Yeah, the guy who doesn't fight back. We had hired him 4 years ago. 4 years ago. He's telling you because when they fired Doug, everyone was questioning whether that was the right move, including all of you. I know people I work with didn't know that was the right move. That's what that line says. You sure hate Eagles quarterback and coach, but they win. I don't hate anybody. I told you before, I hate Nazis. I hate bullshit. Let's see here. I do think he's grown. I do. I do think he's grown and gotten better. I think last year, Vic Fangio probably did so much for his development as a head coach than anything that's been in that building since. I think Vic Fangio had a great influence on him. I think Kellen Moore did too. I think all those guys had a great influence, and I think it tempered him a bit. Can you learn? Yeah. Is he growing into the job? Marcus Hayes said on this program, I don't know. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. We appreciate all your supers too, by the way. Did I get this one? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Guys, appreciate it. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Gary Cobb's going to try to join us because he had a golf tournament, like I said. I think he said Mike Quick. So hopefully we're able to jump aboard with him. You don't think it was losing the Super Bowl and having a collapse in 23? Probably so, a little bit of that. But again, suppose he wasn't in charge of the offense. He's not in charge of the defense. And he's not in charge of personnel. Nick, also, his first year, 2021, scaled offense back to win game. No, he didn't. Shane Steichen did. They ran RPOs. When he was the play caller, they were 2-4. Dude, you're giving him credit for something he didn't do. Shane Steichen even said it, that he took over the play calling. Sills, you say where can Hurts improve? Where do you think Nick can improve? I think Nick is improving. I think he's improving. I think what he's got to do is just get out of the way. I'll give you a great example of why I love Jimmy Johnson so much and what he did. Now, here's the difference. Jimmy hired all his coordinators, every one of them, and he didn't have to clear it through Jerry. He was going to hire whoever he wanted to be the coordinators. And what Jimmy would do is say that you had, like, over here, you had the wide receivers. Over here, you had the quarterbacks, coaches, the quarterbacks, D-line down here, linebackers over here. And what Jimmy would do in practice, he would go around to every station and he would observe. D-line coach, he'd sit there. He would never say anything. And he would just observe. Then he'd get his coaches in the meetings Monday through Friday. And he would tell them what he thought of the practice. I want to do this. I want to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to run that. And when Sundays came or Saturdays came, he never coached. He never got in the way. He empowered his assistants. Empowering your assistants is the biggest form of flattery that you can give your assistant because they feel empowered. If your assistants feel like they have the total say in what they're doing, they're going to feel empowered, and the players are going to feel that. Getting in the way and coming up with plays like he does sometimes in critical situations, in my opinion, is the one thing he still has to learn. Stay away from it. Let Kevin Petullo make those calls. Let the new quarterback coach and Stoutland make those calls. And then when the Monday meetings come, then you can be critical. Nick is a little bit too overbearing. He's not confident. Confident coach doesn't get involved. Confident coach will let his coordinators coach. That's the difference between Nick Sirianni and Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. Those guys won't get in the way. And come hell or high water, they're going to fall on the fence for those guys. Nick doesn't fall on the fence for his assistants. Ever. He doesn't fall on the fence for his players. You say he does. Where was he backing with Dallas Goedert when Goddard got a pay cut? That's not backing your player, going in public and telling you how great a player he is and telling you that, hey, he's really spectacular. And all of a sudden the organization gives him a pay cut. Why? He didn't fall on the sword for him. He didn't fall on the sword for Desai. He didn't fall on the sword for Johnson. He threw him to the wolves. I think he can get better there. Bro, if you're going to say something publicly or not say anything publicly, make it make sense. Don't look like a tool the second time around when you're not really backing. How do you back somebody when he doesn't back the player publicly? You really think Dallas Goedert deserved the pay cut? Really? Everyone got a raise except him. Okay. Well, I've never heard him fight for a coach. Never. That's exactly the type of coach they want. By the way, you disagree, you can have at it. I don't care, really. That's my observations. He doesn't fight for his assistants. When the organization doesn't like the way something's happening, bro, let me ask you this. What head coach in their right mind would make a coordinating change when you're 10-1? Because you had one bad game. What guy in their right mind would do that? You were 10-1 in 23. What coach would make that move where you would fire a guy who had beaten the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Rams, the Bucks? What coach wouldn't stand on a sword for that? Not Nick. Look, I said it. I think he's getting better. He's got a long way to go before that looks like a guy where you're like this. Dude, the Eagles have built themselves a great foundation for successful winning, no matter if it's Andy, Doug, or Nick. They draft well. They hire really good assistants. Some assistants go on to become head coach. Look at all the guys that they have hired that have gone on to be head coaches. They've hired. Not Nick. Here, look at this. Assistant coaches that the Eagles have hired since 2000, it's a laundry list of NFL current head coaches. Nick didn't make the decision. That's why Reddick is gone. He outed the front office on that move. To the media, people forgot us all the time. You know what? Again, Jason, I didn't see that. I don't remember that. Here, let me go here. Thanks for the super, brother. How many assistant coaches who the Eagles have hired since 2000? Hired since 2000 that have gone on to become head coaches, have gone on to become NFL head coaches. Look at this list. I mean, bro, the names of these guys, I mean, this is not under Nick's watch. Sean McVay, I mean, look at this stuff. And all the guys that they have hired that have gone on. Ron Rivera, Super Bowl coach, McDermott, Harbaugh. It really is almost a factory in how they have developed assistant coaches. Just Andy Reid alone. Andy Reid, 1999 Eagles have 9 future head football coaches. Brad Childress, Sean McDermott, David Culley, who coached the Texans, Pat Shurmur, and Ron Rivera. They've been doing this for 25 years. They just haven't all of a sudden clicked their heels and snapped their fingers, and all of a sudden, this has been something new. This has been something that's happened the entire time that Lurie's owned the organization. They've done a nice job at hiring. All over the place with what? Now you're talking coaching tree. I'm not talking Nick Sirianni's coaching tree. I'm talking about the assistant coaches that the organization has hired. Oh, bro, how long? How much? How long? How much? I'll tell you all you need to know. Very simple. Again, like Bob, these people in here will look at this and go, they've had 11 coordinators since 2000. 11. And that practice has been going on for 25 years. And all of a sudden, you think that's some sort of like new thing in Philly that they've been hiring new assistant coaches every other year. Every third year, they hire a new guy. Like Jalen Hurts will never get this. Jalen Hurts will never have an offensive coordinator in Philadelphia for more than 2 years. Ever. As long as he's the starting quarterback in Philadelphia, he will never have a coordinator for more than 2 years. He will never have that consistency. So when he complains about that, remember, it's because why? The Eagles do a nice job at hiring assistants, or if the guy's not working, they'll fire him. Let me ask you this. Let me say this to you. Let me ask you this. If Kevin Petula fails, do you think they'll bring him back? If Kevin Petula doesn't win a Super Bowl and that offensive passing game doesn't improve and they don't win, do you believe they'll bring him back as the OC next year? I don't. Why would you believe that? They don't do that. You either get elevated or you get fired in Philly. Now, that's a standard. That's a standard. I would ask you this question. Okay? I would ask you this. You know, who did more for the Eagle offense last year? Howie or Kellen? Who do you think? Okay? Howie or Kellen? Howie or Kellen? What do you think? All they added was Barkley, right? Let's see here. Still waiting for the money. Nothing on the money yet, right? I think this is a really good hire. I'll say it again. I think Joe Douglas knows what he's doing when it comes to personnel evaluation, especially the college side. I think he does a nice job identifying. Hard to screw up the way Barkley played. Eagle, so Howie Roseman did more for the offense last year than Kellen Moore did. What's Kevin Petula going to do? Is he going to screw it up by trying to throw the ball? Probably not. Okay. My top 5 coaches. Waiting for my top 5 coaches. Reed. McVay. McVay's a play caller. He has a job. Reed's a play caller. Then after that, I go with guys who hired their own coaches. I would go Harbaugh in Baltimore. He hires his own coaches. I do like Todd Bowles, but he's not a top 5 guy. I'm not putting Shanahan in there because I think Shanahan bites the bit in big games. And his play calling, I think the guy nuts up in play calling. I'm not a fan of Kyle Shanahan. Every single time he gets in a position where he has the opportunity to win, I think that guy, again, I think he fails. Okay? I think he fails because he tries to overcook it. I really like that DeMeco Ryans down in Houston. He picks his coaching staff. I've heard Nick Caserio say that. We really don't have anything in the hirings. I'd like to put Tomlin in there. But Mike hasn't won in the postseason, man. I want to put him there because that's the kind of coach I want to play for. But, bro, can you imagine if Nick Sirianni hadn't won a playoff game in 10 years and the standard had been, 9-8? The standard in Philadelphia, can you believe that thing has changed that much? Bro, like I said, okay, Sean, what's his job? And again, it sounds so rude to say that, but what do you think his biggest asset is on game day? And I'm not deviating off this. You can like him all you want. You can want him as your head coach all you want. No problem. Okay? I don't think Dan Campbell. I think he's okay. I'm not building my team with Dan Campbell. Like, if I'm hiring a head coach, Dan Campbell ain't it. But I don't mind him. Matt LaFleur is a good play caller. By the way, the one thing that I do like, what they do in Green Bay, they develop quarterbacks. 97% of the snaps that have been taken in the last 38 years have been taken by 3 quarterbacks. I don't know. If I were you, I wouldn't compare Nick Sirianni to Dan Campbell. I know this. He makes more money than Hurts. Sills, Joe D back is a big hire. I think it is too. You know, one thing you're looking at, get this. What do you think has been more detrimental this year to the Eagles? Losing their talent scouts or losing their assistant coaches? Or one assistant coach, Kellen Moore? What do you think hurts more? The talent evaluation or a coach? Campbell reminds me a little bit of Bill Cowher. Again, you got to remember something about the Pittsburgh coaches. They hired their own people. That's why there's only been 3 coaches since 1969. Get this. Nick doesn't hire the OCs. To me, no. I think the great coaches, I mean, if you are hiring your guys and you feel empowered, you know why Nick gets involved with some of these coaches on game day? Because he didn't hire them. If you hire somebody like Xander, hires me to do a job, he didn't interfere. That's great leadership. Go do your job. Then we'll talk about if anything goes sideways. There's a difference, an approach. But if you don't hire somebody, you're going to feel compelled to add something to that particular show or offensive game planning. Okay? And for the record, I must have missed it. You know, where did anybody ever say that Nick was a great coordinator anywhere? I must have missed that Super Bowl that he coached as an offensive coordinator. I must have missed it. I mean, are you trying to tell me that he was a good coordinator? Where? Indy? He had Phillip Rivers there. Every year that Phillip Rivers had his best year, Frank Reich was with him in San Diego and in Indianapolis. And Nick worked for Frank. Wasn't vice versa. I'd rather have Nick. I think Nick's got more of a toughness to him than Mike McDaniel. I think Mike McDaniel's the guy down in Miami. I think he's a really good designer of plays. And he would be my offensive. He looks like a great OC. But as a head coach, that team just doesn't come off as it's being physical. I think that, again, when I look at the Miami Dolphins, they come off as a phony Rolex or a cheap Gucci bag. Like, I don't see it. Nick's better than Sean McDermott, I think what you're saying with Josh Allen. Love your narratives. Dodd, thank you. I would say this to you. I think that Sean McDermott is the wrong coach for Josh Allen. That's a great take, actually, by you. I think Nick would be good with Josh Allen. They get a coordinator in the building and let Josh be Josh. I think McDermott gets in the way. They totally underachieved in Buffalo. And I think they deal, and they're shitty with the salary cap. They still got to cut players. And they're lucky you know what? There is some mirage with the Bills. And there is some fool's gold because of that schedule in the AFC East they play in. That AFC East is a joke. Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. Patriots might be better. But how much? 7 wins? Jets what? Who's the quarterback? Justin Fields? 6 wins. The Patriots maybe, with all the additions and all the money they spent and some of the good drafting they did. I mean, look, I'm like I said, and I'll say it again. I think the guy in Philly's getting better. I do. I think he's getting better. Is he growing into it? Yeah. To me, you're talking more about the potential of what he looks like as a coach. Silsey's got a Super Bowl behind his name. I get it. There's no doubt. But if you're asking me, if there's coaches in the league that I'm building my football team, he ain't it. If I had to build a coaching staff, I'm not picking that guy to build my coaching staff. I'm picking the owner and the general manager because they've done a great job for 25 years hiring. Look at their resume. Look, their resume is more impressive with the amount of coaches and the assistants that they've hired than Nick's is. By the way, in charge of what? I'm just pointing out to you that your ownership and your general manager have done a great job at building a culture for 25 years. What are you moaning about? Jesus Christ. Some of you guys in here get butthurt over anything if someone points something out to you. How long, how much? It matters because it tells you what they think of you. We've had Butch on the show. We get him again. Okay? Look at this. How many people in here believe this? How many people believe that this guy here puts together the best coaching staff every year? Even though when he first got hired, he said he had to introduce himself to 80% of the people in the building. And after 23, how many people think Kellen Moore was hired by Nick when they wanted to fire him after the Tampa game? And they wanted to kick his ass after 2-2 start. How many people believe this? How many people believe that? After the 23 failure and the 2-2 start, that this guy was given permission to build a coaching staff. Like he hired Vic. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It just doesn't know what he's talking about. No. This is what you do. And I showed you. What you do is you get a list of about 10 guys. And you tell Nick to pick someone out that you like. Nick gives his opinion. Owner and the GM make the call. Rico, thank you, brother, for coming aboard. Please hit the like button. Okay? I do think he's getting better. I absolutely do. Again, before I get Xander up here, hopefully we're going to be able to get our friend Gary Cobb. He's at Mike Quick's he's at Mike Quick's golf tournament today. Let me just double check here. I want to double check before we get Xander up here. Yeah, no money yet. Excuse me, I have to talk to John Morgan. Thank you. All right. I do think he's gotten better. So, again, the press release, I already know this, that they were going to give him an extension. All right. Without further ado, guys, great stuff, as always, when you go to Birds 365. And I got to start the program off by giving congratulations. We got a new Krause. He is, or she? It's a she. Great. Big Sills, the proud dad of a daughter. Xander, how about Xander pulling some time this weekend to make it all happen? So we got a new Krause in the building. We got a new potential media star in about 20 years coming up here. Without further ado, the co-host of Birds 365, my boy, Big Z, Xander Krause. How you doing, brother?
What's up?